Now we are joined by Mark Mulcahy of Waterford Technologies and Ken Leung, ICT Services Manager and Telecommunications Operations with Belfast Health and Social Care Trust. They are with me to discuss how to manage the risk of a post-pandemic remote working environment. Mark, I'm going to begin with you. Tell me a little bit about your industry, what it is that Waterford Technologies does daily for its clients.
Okay, afternoon, Jonathan. Good to talk to you. Waterford Technologies is a software development house. We've been in business for over 20 years, actually spun out of the college in Waterford, one of those incubator organizations, and we have over 1,600 clients around the world. We focus on developing software applications for currently email and file management around analytics, archiving, e-discovery, compliance, GDPR.
And the good news is, of course, yourself and Mark know each other. So myself and Ken know each other. Ken, tell us a little bit about Belfast Trust and what Waterford Technologies does for you guys.
Hi, Jonathan. So Belfast Health and Social Care Trust, we're one of the largest integrated health trusts in the United Kingdom. We employ over 23,000 people, and we provide services all across Northern Ireland for over 350,000 patients. Belfast Trust came about as an amalgamation of 6 separate trusts back in 2007. Back then, we all had different email systems, so one of the major challenges was amalgamating all those systems. This resulted in increasing storage costs with the review, the data governance policy, because there was different policies as well. What MailMeter did, it helped us to address the areas of governance. It helped us to monitor email, our retention policies and compliance. It allows us to address issues such as early risk detection, corporate privacy, non-compliance with our existing compliance and email policies. It also allows us to perform in-depth searching analysis of present and past email, whether a user's deleted the email from their mailbox or not. And it helps us to make sure that we are in compliance with data regulations such as FOI and GDPR.
Okay, so in other words, it makes your life easier by the sounds of it. It sounds like there'd be a lot of complicated searching otherwise, yeah?
It does make my life a lot easier.
Well, it's good to hear. It's nice to have feedback like that, Mark, isn't it? Can I ask you, what have your clients been faced with as we've been hearing, as we've been discussing throughout the day, the move to remote working, it's a remote environment, people not being where they would have been up to date. What have your clients been telling you, Mark?
Well, I've kind of sort of come at it or learned about it from sort of 2 aspects, Jonathan. One is the practical side. You know, we were forced very quickly to deploy remote working. That meant we had to have multiple different communication channels. We had to learn new ways of communicating, new processing. We dispersed people with dispersed IT help. So it was a whirlwind of new processes and interactions. And that then causes risk for our clients, both real, which is why I say it's in 2 areas, or conceptually. So as well as the risks around data leakage, data compliance, data security with dispersed working, there was also a little bit of a silver lining in that conceptually we incorrectly feel secure when maybe we're managing data inside 3 floors of a building in Dublin or in Canary Wharf, where because people are near us and at their pods, at their desks, that doesn't necessarily mean we have all of our processes working correctly. So if you take 500 people from a building in Dublin and scatter them around Leinster, it actually has forced us to understand what type of security challenges we have. So in a roundabout way, it's helping us get the message that we are constantly trying to get through to our customers, that data management does need to be front and center.
And was there a risk that was after slipping a little bit? Because, look, we became really good at GDPR because there was a big, massive threat hanging over us for a while. But I suppose data security was someone else's problem. It kind of became everyone's problem in the last couple of months, didn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think, the proactive processes that organizations need to have, when GDPR comes in, we put in our processes and put our teams together. Then we get through May 2018, nothing major occurred. So you can lapse. That's just human nature and natural reaction in business. We are constantly firefighting. One of our challenges and one of the main benefits we bring to our customers, we're constantly in their ear reminding them about this unimportant process, and protection and management is needed on a constant basis, because you will need to use that insurance policy at some point.
Ken, I'm guessing the kind of work you're involved in, a lot of sensitive information, a lot of information that needs to be protected, maybe even a little more than your standard information. And then you had everybody remote working, accessing data remotely. What kind of challenges did the pandemic throw up for you in that context?
Yeah, John, well, the pandemic, it's changed every aspect of everybody's lives, and healthcare was at the forefront of that, obviously, and the healthcare system was no different. When COVID hit, we knew that we would have to change our everyday processes. And the message obviously back then was, work from home if you could. And many of our employees wanted to work remotely. It put a lot of pressure on our IT team. And as I'm sure it did on many other organizations, a lot of staff wanted to work remotely. In terms of email retention, monitoring and compliance became even more important when staff are working remotely. You need quicker access to your email data. You need a system that was secure, that's easy to use, and where staff could use it easily and quickly, and it wouldn't be the full responsibility of the IT team. And we also needed full visibility of our email communication. We were lucky Belfast Trust began a cloud-first digital strategy, a transformation back in 2018, a few years ago. And Waterford Technologies were very much part of that journey right from the start.
And was a lot of the groundwork therefore laid already? And were you thanking your lucky stars that it had been?
It was. We were so lucky. We started with email, as I say, back in 2018, and then we introduced technologies like Teams, and we were able to do virtual consultations with a lot of our patients. So we were very thankful that we were already on that journey whenever the crisis hit.
Email is a wonderful tool. I think we can all agree that, Mark, that email got us out of a lot this year. We ended up communicating more by email, even if it's only to set up a Zoom call or a phone call that was to follow. But when we look at email as a communication tool, it's also a really easy way for mistakes to be made, big and small, for communications to come in from nefarious actors who may do everything in their power to make it look real. The human factor became really significant in this, didn't it?
It did. In a certain aspect, COVID has been a friend to our message, not to us. Let me be clear in saying that. One of the problems with communication is that it's done by humans. Therefore, there is an inherent risk associated with that. From an IT security point of view, we think about it, we secure every single application in every organization to the best of our ability. We will put our applications in a data center. We will lock the door. We will put thick glass and CO2 on raised floors. But when it comes to email, we hire a person, and on Monday we say, there's your email address, knock yourself out. And there is no control or monitoring because it is a communication device. So again, even though GDPR is trying to teach us some of these things, and security organizations are trying to teach us around best practice and the risks associated with using communication in the wrong way, we are starting to see people finally understand that you have to be proactive. We need some sort of ability to monitor, to check back, to be complete, and most importantly, to be integrity built into the process. Many people believe an email that you find in your mailbox from 4 years ago is absolutely the email you sent or received. There is no integrity built into that process, not because there's anything wrong with it, but because it is a communication device. So classification, monitoring, management, reducing, those type of tools now are more and more becoming must-haves, not nice-to-have.
Yeah, and in that context, in using that way of quantifying, qualifying, seeing what's there, the volume is the biggest problem here, isn't it? We always like to think that the digital native generation are the ones who'll be most careful, and it's those old types who tend to make the mistake. Has that been borne out in any kind of reality, or are all generations likely to be as vulnerable?
I think we're probably going to see all generations still. I think older generations are much slower to adapt to changes in work practice. I mean, a lot of the old Exchange email configurations with legacy archives like PSDs, a lot of people will struggle to get away from that. But that let's keep it just in case concept is still very prevalent, even with GDPR. And what we need is not a sledgehammer to remove everything. We need a scalpel to be able to say to an organization, we have the ability to reduce your data footprint under regulations, but we can do it in a monitored and a controlled manner. I think if you have that peace of mind, people are more open to change.
Ken, I know I spend a disproportionate amount of time making sure that I'm sending the email to the right person. It's a quirk that has crept in actually in the last few months because I've been sending many more emails. For the type of information that you would be sending in the trust by email, I'm presuming that this business critical data, the employee information that they have, the client information, has that human error potential been fully explored by your organization, and what have you done to mitigate against it?
It does. As I mentioned earlier, Jonathan, we were lucky. We had started our cloud-first digital transformation back in 2018, and we started implementing Microsoft Office 365. We started with obviously email, but we retained the Mike Waterford Technologies mail meter for email archiving. One of the reasons was that it simple to use. It gave us one portal to access all email, and it gives me great peace of mind that our email data it's archived instantly, and that our users can access it remotely using their own archive within my mail meter. Mark and his team have worked very closely with us during our transition to the cloud, and as I say, fortunately, most of the hard work had been done before COVID hit us, and that's been a blessing in disguise. The email management functionality within MailMeter allows us to perform in-depth searching and analysis of all trusts, email past and present, and I'd say just to comply with data regulations such as FOI and GDPR. And with MailMeter, the trust can cater to compliance requests with great ease, even remotely and working from home. And it's increased the efficiency of automating data management, and it reduces the risk to the trust as well.
And how far back does it go, though? I mean, are you talking about the last couple of years that's searchable, or is it everything up there?
Currently, it's everything. We can search every single email that any user's ever sent and received.
I mean, that is a massive data lake if you're looking for a drop, isn't it? And you'd need the type of technology that's coming from Waterford to do the type of search that you're talking about.
It is, and to be honest, the amount of emails we get on a daily basis, you're talking tens and tens of thousands. So you can imagine how much email data we have. But the great thing about Waterford Technology Mailmeter is the speed of it searches as well. It has a great indexing engine, so that it's very fast at searching for emails, even going back many years.
You talk, Mark, about software being only half the story. What makes up the other half?
I suppose if you said you've got 5 minutes to talk about your software, I would talk about the other half for all 5 minutes. It's our tagline, software is only half the story. I suppose it comes from this. So compliance, data management, prudent e-discovery, classification, it's a reluctant task in an organization. As I said, we're busy firefighting all day, every day. Just read the data commissioner's report anytime you want to see what level of frustration there is in getting people to conform with certain best practice. Most organizations have good intentions. I used to be an IT manager for a large multinational company. I had lots of good intentions with projects which never finished. We will buy software, we will intend to get our ROI, but the real world gets in the way. Some of the reasons for that is it's too complicated to implement compliance, functionality, and best practice across an organization. I'm too damn busy to do this. I have enough critical activity on my path at the moment. Okay? Or even I go to do it and the complexity of the process stops me in my tracks and I give up. So what we wanted to do to compete in this market is to provide a different service. So our software is provided as a complete package. I've got 16 guys working for me. And when somebody takes our software, they take the 16 guys, me, and the software, and we become part of their team. We proactively manage the solution for them. We run maintenance checks on the system. We, in essence, want to be the people driving the project to get the ROI. And it's only when you have that level of interaction and the comfort blanket that if I need to use the software, I'm going to be able to reach out to Waterford Technologies and they're going to be there for me. Because, call a spade, we are in the bottom 3 applications for an organization every single day until the day they need to use us. There's a court case, a legal discovery. And when we are used, we go from the bottom 3 to number 1. We don't go to number 4 or 5, we go to number 1 for the duration of that stressful activity. And then we go back to the third last. So when you need us, we need to be there for you.
But sure, Mark, you're doing it all wrong. The whole point of developing software is that you sell it and then they can't work out how to use it and then you sell them more software. Surely there's a better business model for you.
Yeah, we're terrible business people. That's why we're not driving Ferraris.
Let's talk to Ken about what that support means for you, because again, it's literally you get a product, but you're also inheriting a support team that's with you every step of the way. Did that help you, Ken, as you were navigating using it?
It does, Jonathan. And I think, when you buy any product, what sets aside, one company from another is the after support sales, when there are issues, when you need support. And I have to say the communication from Waterford Technologies, from Mark and his team, has been first class. I've been in the IT business for over 25 years, and I have to say, they're definitely one of the top companies that I've ever dealt with. I think one of the key reasons why we chose Waterford Technologies was also it's very simple architecture. It's easy to use, it's easy to maintain. There's not a big cost overhead, on an ongoing basis. It doesn't really require any specialist admin skills. It is a very good solution, And Mark and his team they're always on hand to answer questions. They reply to emails, very quickly. They've been a big help to us. And Mark was talking about the health checks, and we get a monthly health check, obviously every month. But it's one of those things that you forget you actually get it, and it's only whenever I get an email from the technical team to say, this is your health check, that I realise that it's they've been proactive. It's normally the customer that has to chase up the supplier, to carry out health checks. But in this situation, it's the reverse. Waterford Technologies, they're always one step ahead.
Which is good to hear. And given the trauma we have just been through, Ken Leung, we don't know what's happening next. And fingers crossed, it's going to be better than what it's been. Can't really be any worse. Are you confident as we move to hybrids that some people will be in the office, some people will be working in the field, some people will be working from home, that what you have now is relatively future-proof?
Oh, definitely. I think going forward, as you say, we don't know what's going to happen. I can see it as there will be a sort of like a hybrid situation where you will get obviously some staff going in and some staff staying at home. I think, but the solution that we have is so flexible, that no matter what comes about, Waterford Technologies and Millimeter will be able to deliver that.
And Mark, last question to you, if I can. This presumably, we're in Croke Park. I looked down on the pitch longingly, wishing that I was watching a match here, and fellas running out match fit and ready to give it hockey for Cork. not Waterford, obviously. But if you were describing yourself, are you match fit now, do you think, in the type of software that you're producing and the supports that are available?
Yeah, I think so. I think, our long-term strategy was to provide some of the gaps in Office 365 to be the security glue around some of those applications. The uptake in something like Teams and the online services are primarily there as communication tools. We want to be that safety blanket around the secure communication and recording. So I think the fact that we don't want to and we can't compete with Office 365 and Microsoft are slightly bigger than us, we want to complement it as we've been doing with Exchange for 17 years. We are now doing Office 365 for the last 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
So, I think we're in a good space.
That's what we want to hear. It's great. Thank you so much for joining us, Ken, Mark. Really interesting conversation, and it's been great listening to you over the last while. Wish you the best of luck.